I have been into cars for as long as I can remember. My grandpa was into restoring. Restoring classic cars. That's what he did his whole life for 45 plus years. He was a body man painter. Built some amazing show cars, everything from Ferraris to real AC Cobras to hot rods up until modern pro street rods. So I spent all my childhood in his garage, and my dad has always been like a manager at different dealerships and owned dealerships that were always had a focus on luxury and high-end vehicles and some sports cars. So he was always bringing cool cars home, always cycling through cars every 6 months. And it was just a big part of who I came to be. And I took that, went to the next level. And now my whole career is based around supercars and hypercars and marketing cool car stuff. I run the marketing for a handful of different automotive businesses. I put on different car events, primarily in Northern California, but some in Southern California, Arizona, all the way, coast to coast.
So whose garage is that? Are they all your cars in the background?
Actually, none of these cars are mine. Besides, I don't know if you can see the red Jeep back there. That one's mine. I put it in here so that it stays nice and cool. It's a hot day outside, but this is all my buddy. His Instagram is Grass Gas Ass. You're sitting on top of a 675 LT. I'm looking at an AMG GT Black Series, G63, a big monster truck. We've got the Senna, we've got the SVJ, we've got the 458, the 720 Spider. Out of sight, we've got a Porsche Panamera, and we've got a Huracan Performante VX. And there's also a GT2 RS, a Lamborghini Diablo, and a 488 Pista in Ferrari, California, and G63 4x4, and a couple other of the daily cars that aren't in the picture, aren't in the garage, couple of shops. And yeah, he's a pretty big collector, and he's been collecting cars for the past 7 or 8 years, 9 years now, and a lot of rallies. We do a lot of rallies together, do a lot of events together. We like to drive, have drivers.
Are they all white cars? Is that the collection?
Everything's white, besides this monster truck, which let me spin the camera around. That thing's yellow. And that was just by chance. And he's talking about maybe turning it white.
Yeah, he's going to have to paint that one.
Yeah, that one's not as easy to paint. But none of the cars are, wrapped besides PPF. They're all white paint. And for some reason, he sees a car, and unless it's white, he doesn't think it looks good.
Yeah. Well, that explains that then. So do you want to just start off and tell us a little bit about like what's happening with Monterey Car Week? Like when does it start and what happens? Maybe go through a series of events on the first day or the first week.
This will be my 16th year, I want to say. I've been going since 2010 before I could drive. I used to go I went my first year with my parents. They met some of their friends. And then when we were there, we ran into one of my best friends from middle school and his dad. And the next year, his dad asked if I wanted to go. And I started going with them for a long time. And then I started going on my own. And now I bring my mom and my lady and the family and all that stuff. So I've been going for 16 years. And something I was thinking about was I can do Car Week for the rest of my life and not do the same thing over and over again. There are so many events, so many people, so many things to do. Every year is there's new events coming on, new car companies trying to attract customers to this thing, that new car companies hosting parties. It just doesn't end. There's so many restaurants, so many places to stay. So you can go to Car Week for the rest of your life and have a different experience every single time. It depends on how you want to do it. You can go there's a lot of people that will just come for a day. And then there's people that will go and spend, a week and a half, sometimes more. Me personally, I go for 8 to 9 days. I like coming in early. I usually bring a bunch of cars. Some of the, definitely a couple of these will be there this year. I think 6 from this collection. So that's a lot of work. And, one day is dedicated to transport pretty much. And then I want to be able to relax and chill and get my lay of the land and see all the cars as they come into the different auctions and come into the, the peninsula for the whole weekend, checking the polo grounds, which we can go into more detail about. But every single location, every single event, every single auction house, all of these cars are coming early in the week. And so you're able to see this stuff, kind of get the first look on a lot of these cars before they go in and you have to pay for a ticket and they're staged and beautiful and whatnot. You get to see maybe some cars run that normally aren't going to run because they're just sitting, waiting to go across an auction block. So I like getting there early. And then there's people there already the weekend before Car Week. They're there for the pre-reunion at Laguna Seca, for the pre-reunion for the Monterey Historics, presented by Rolex. Anyways, so you can do it any way you want. You can come for one day, depending on your budget. You can do it for a month. Monterey is not a bad place to be, no matter how long you want to be there. And
you don't live in Monterey, do you?
About 3 hours away. I'm in the Sacramento area, right outside Sacramento, around Folsom Lake.
The way that, like a little disclaimer, I guess, the way that you talk about Monterey, you're not getting paid by the government to get people there, like the tourism boards or anything?
Maybe they should. No, it's a wonderful place. My grandparents actually have been to Car Week before. Like I said, my grandpa's a big car guy. They're in their mid 70s. It's not as easy to go to all events and stuff like that. And they were talking about going to Monterey Car Week this year. And we were looking at, they want to bring their RV. They have a big RV. And the RV parking spots are like $250. And they're like, okay, well, how much is a hotel? Well, normally during off time, like next weekend per se, it's $260 to stay at the Hyatt in Monterey. Well, during Car Week, it's like $1,300, and we're not even close to the event. And that's not a special room or anything like that. It's a nice place. I've stayed there a bunch for different car events, but this is just Car Week. So I don't think Monterey needs me at all to promote them for Car Week. I think plenty of people coming in.
A bit of price gouging, I guess, going on in terms of accommodation when you try to stay there during Car Week.
Definitely. And I don't want to name names because I do, media for most of the events at Car Week, any that I want to go to. But I remember when tickets that are now, over $600 were $125, or, tickets that were $400 are now a couple grand. And, they're not to blame. I mean, costs of everything have gone up tremendously with events, et cetera, et cetera. Ask me how I know. But it is because there's just so many people there. How can they cater to it? If their tickets are selling out and the crowds just keep coming, I mean, they kind of have to raise the price. That's just simple business. Like, you're trying to curate the audience. And if you want to have the audience for the high-end car demographic to sell to, that's what it ends up being. So it is a really expensive week. It is not for the faint of heart, but you don't have to have deep pockets to have an amazing time in Monterey and surrounding arears.
You don't have to necessarily stay in Monterey. Like, you can get maybe a place a little bit cheaper, like maybe an hour away if you're willing to drive every day, commute in and out.
Totally. There's a lot of people that'll stay out of the area in Salinas or surrounding areas, 45 minutes out of town, hour out of town, and they'll do the commute. And staying in town is expensive. It's cheaper if you go with friends, split rooms, rent Airbnbs. I'm always scared to do Airbnbs because I've had a couple friends that, their Airbnb has canceled on them, and then they're stuck without room, and they have all these tickets that they bought and all these plans, and now they don't have a place to stay. There's always some place to stay, but then the price goes up a lot. That actually happened to one of my friends this past week. But there's a lot of hotels, a lot of people, are accommodating, but they just, they all sell out. They sell out quick, early. And if they don't, they're really expensive rooms. So that's an unfortunate thing about Car Week, but it shouldn't hold people back from getting out to experience it. Because again, you can stay a little bit, rent a car, drive in.
planning the day. The people who are watching this are probably already committed. They already bought some tickets. They're ready to go, but maybe they don't know where to go or what to do, or maybe they need a little bit of a plan. So if you can, shed some light on things to do, places to go, maybe the best events, some of your favorite things during Car Week.
Every year for the past, I don't know how long it's been, at least 5-6 years, have been doing these Car Week group chats. These Car Week group chats, I ask my story on my Instagram at AutoHoffs, who is going to Car Week and who would like to be a part of a group chat. And on the first time I asked this past month, I had 650 responses to that first story. I take every single username, I look at the profiles and kind of gauge where they at, what kind of interest they have, and organize all these people into group chats. Obviously, there's a lot of people I know in there that have come to Car Week, are my friends, have been to events. Some people are, hypercar collection owners. Some put on events at Car Week. Some, work events at Car Week. Some have companies that are coming to display cars. Some are, manufacturers and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a big group of people that go to Car Week, and through that, it really started because I was put in one and I said, wow, this is great. Let me start doing it. And it's kind of grown every year. So this year, again, 650 with my first ask. I'll probably ask again, have another couple hundred come in. I mean, that's going to be 20 group chats of 40 plus people. It's a lot. It's a lot of work for me to manage, but it gives everybody an opportunity to ask questions and kind of get the answers to some of this stuff that I'm giving from other people that have been going there the past 10 years, 5 years, whatever, or people that are going for their first time and don't know what to do, or maybe they've come in the past and they've only come for one day. So I was talking about how there's many ways to do Car Week, and it's hard to say how to do it because it's budget dependent, and that can vary very extremely. If you want to come to Car Week, I mean, it's going to be at least $1,000, right? If you're coming from a couple hours away, staying the night, going to a couple events, that's what it's going to be. Can you do it for a tank of gas? I'm sure you can, depending on where you live. But on the cheap end, say you have an interest in cars and want to go to a couple events, like it's going to be at least $1,500 to $2,000. And on the high end, if you want to do Car Week a really luxurious way, I mean, I know how you can spend $50,000 really quick and easy. You can probably spend that just within the room. Actually, I mean, I know houses that are renting for over 6 figures, for the week. So, there's a lot of different levels and ways to do this stuff. And I've got friends that even have, 8-figure cars that are saying, I don't want to go to that event. It's too expensive. So it's all subjective, but I'll go through the whole week and all of the events and kind of give you a rundown on what it is and if it's worth going to, and if it's, price wise makes sense.
It's also like time too. Like you could have all the money in the world, but you can't get around to all the places that you want within the time frame because it's all, limited amount, just the 1 week.
Absolutely. And that's why you have to go for at least 16 years because if you only go 1 year, you're going to absolutely miss some events. So like I'll go to events every few years at Car Week or there's just some that I just don't go to anymore because I've been there, done that, and know what's there. And it's nothing that you can't necessarily get at any other kind of car events that you go to in SoCal, NorCal, racetracks, etc. So the weekend before Monterey is the pre-reunion. The Rolex Monterey Motorsports Reunion at Laguna Seca is a historic race that's been going on for many decades. And it is primarily vintage race cars. Some of the greatest cars in the world come out because of the fact that it's during Car Week. So they have one of the best racetracks in the world, and one of the best timing of events in the world. So it pulls out a lot of heavy hitters, and a lot of manufacturers know that everybody's going to be there, the world media. So if they want to do some kind of driving experience, really, that's the only place to do it during Car Week, aside from what we can get into later, the Tour d'Elegance. So that's the weekend before Car Week. This year, it is Saturday and Sunday. Monday, August 11th, 2025. They don't have much, but that doesn't mean that's not when you should show up. The Automobilia Expo is kind of always fun to go to. It's a lot of old car stuff, booklets, tools, badges, little trinkets, all this stuff. If you're into it, they've got everything you could imagine and then some. If you're coming on a tight constraint, they have that Automobilia going on for a few days. Unless you're into that stuff, I don't know if it's worth going to. The Porsche Monterey Classic, they usually do that at the Porsche dealer at Seaside. That is a fun event if you're into Porsches. Again, Monday, there's not a lot to do, so you might as well go there. They usually have some food vendors, but it is, your standard Porsche cars and coffee event, but on Car Week meds. And so it's a little bit blown up. There's a few, cool cars that you normally wouldn't see at Car Week. They also have Monterey British on Monday. I'm not sure what that is, but it kind of sounds self-explanatory. And judging by the fact that it's on Monday, I don't know if you're going to see McLaren F1s and, the best Aston Martins ever. It's probably going to be some, Austins and Triumphs, etc.
Are all these events free, or like some of are free, some are paid? Like,
I will go over that. The Automobilia is usually a small fee to get in. It's like $20. The Porsche Monterey Motorsports Classic, that event is free. It's put on by the Porsche dealer. They're obviously trying to get people to come in and check out their dealership and whatnot. Tuesday, it doesn't really look like there's a whole lot going on this year. There's usually not a lot of people. That is a good day for car spotting, for load in. All the trucks are arriving. Some of the auctions open on Wednesday, some open on Thursday, but that is a good day to get a good lay of the land, drive around, check things out, see the booths being set up. But it doesn't look like there's much going on Tuesday. Maybe that's an opportunity for next year for somebody. On Wednesday, August 13th, they have the Monterey Motorsports Reunion. That's kicking off. So cars, usually you have some practice cars, practice sessions. You have Automobilia, the Rolex Monterey Motorsports Reunion kicks off on Wednesday, August 13th. They usually have a ticket price earlier in the week. Maybe Wednesday, Thursday is a lower ticket price. Friday's higher. Saturday's the last day. That's the main race day. That's the highest. That'll probably be around 120, 130, 140. I'm not exactly sure, but usually it's in that ballpark.
$120.
Maybe 120 to 160, I would say, for the main race day. The days leading up to that, maybe in the $90 range, $100 range.
And what's there? Like is it like you sit in your seat and watch racing, or is there more like you walk around and see different cars parked? Are you allowed to explore a little bit?
So Laguna Seca is a large property. The track, obviously goes around, and you have the opportunity to go around outside of it. But within the paddock, it's completely open. Everybody has their race trailers, and the mechanics are working on the cars. They have tents set up. They have sponsor activations. They have different tiered levels if you want VIP suites and stuff like that. They have box suites and elevated experience packages. They have on the lake bed as well. They usually have these big car shows, Corvette Corral, Porsche Corral, a whole bunch of companies that are there. Lamborghini sometimes has, things going on. Porsche, Pagani, depending on the year, different companies come and activate in different areas there. But usually a general admission ticket gets you into everything you need to see, all the cars. There's no cars that will be hidden to you. And they'll have everything from, Ferrari 250s to, classic Trans Am cars and, classic race Porsches, 917s, everything. So that's a pretty cool event if you're into historic cars. And really, it used to be my favorite event to go to during Car Week. And I would say if you've got one place to go, that's the place to go. You know, in the past, let's say decade, it's kind of fallen off a little bit. You know, they have real busy race groups and not a lot of modern cars, and that's what a lot of people want to see. You can go to many events and see a bunch of cool historic cars. So, but this is a special one. A lot of people bring a lot of cool cars out because of the fact that it's Monterey Car Week.
The chance to kind of see the cars running, I guess, and rolling around and going around a racetrack rather than most of the car shows is kind of just the cars are parked.
That's the reason I still go every year, because you have the opportunity to really hear what these cars and feel what these cars are all about at full tilt next to each other. You know, it's sometimes they'll have historic Formula One classes out there, and you'll see, you know, cars that are legendary and cars that are, you know, 7-8 figures out on track, giving it all they've got, climbing uphill, braking hard, you know, sometimes losing wheels, you know, rubbing, crashing, going into the dirt. And, you know, that's what they all are. They're just cars. They're meant to be driven. And we love the sound of them and love the smell of gasoline and exhaust fumes and burnt rubber. So it's an amazing event to go to, and one that if you've never been to Car Week, I would definitely recommend going to the reunion one of your days. Again, it doesn't have to take the whole day. I usually go for a few hours. After a few hours, I've seen everything. But I'm very efficient when it comes to car shows. I've been to all of them. I know, you know, a lot of stuff, and usually most of the time I'm talking to people. But if you want to watch a couple races, I definitely hang out for at least a half a day. You know, if you're more budget conscious, you can spend the whole day there and have fun.
Would the wives enjoy it?
Depends on the wife. Depends on the wife. So, I mean, some ladies are very into it. And, you know, on the flip side, I've got a lot of guy friends that could give a shit. They don't care to be there. They don't want to be in the heat, you know, whatever.
Wednesday, August 13th, they also have the Little Car Show. That's a really fun one in Pacific Grove. And it's not little in the sense of there's not many cars, but it is literally little cars. So, you know, a Fiat 500 is like a big sedan there. But they have everything small that you can imagine. A lot of these funky, you know, one-off build cars, really fun stuff. If you're in town, it's a free event. It's cool to check out. It's true car enthusiasts that are there. That's a fun event to hit as well on Wednesday. On Wednesday, actually, is the first day of the Broad Arrow auction. And then Mecum as well, you're able to go into their previews on Thursday. So those auction houses are something that are pretty cool to walk around. You have a lot of cars that are, you know, just prettied up, ready to sell. Some really special cars go through. Like I remember Mecum a couple of years ago, I had like the LaFerrari, you know, mules and prototypes. That was really special. I know a lot of Mecum's cars are going to be at the Monterey Motorsports Festival staging. And then all the different auction houses all over the peninsula. That's usually what I do on Wednesday. Check all those out as soon as I can. Show up early, because as the week goes on and the events get rolling, it's harder to catch those. Monday or Wednesday night, again, is a lot of people come in Wednesday. A lot of the rallies will show up on Wednesday. And the first event they go to is Motorlux. So that's at the Jet Center in Monterey. They have a lot of awesome jets, helicopters, and then a lot of really cool cars, car companies, and a ton of awesome dining and alcohol. And that's a nice event. That's a high ticket, high dollar event. Those Motolux passes are $625 a person. So it's not for the faint of heart, but it definitely is worth it if you want to go check stuff out. I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a total car-based event. It's more of a lifestyle event. If you are bringing your girlfriend, this is one that she will love a lot because it's dark. There's beautiful lights. There's lots of great food. There's lots of good music. There's, you know, exotic dancers on, you know, hula hoops and doing rope stuff and this and that. There's a dance floor where it's basically a big party with pretty cars around.
Airfield, like airport, basically, like all concrete everywhere.
it's on the tarmac at the Jet Center, definitely. So like, it's normally where planes go and park and drop people off, and they have a couple of hangars that are opened up, and those hangars are transformed into beautiful car displays with all this luxurious furniture and lighting and all this stuff. So that's a really cool event. You can find a lot of media online about that event. If it's strictly for cars, I mean, there's a couple great cars there, but if you're just there for the cars, I don't know if that's the number one event to hit during Car Week. But if you're at Car Week for the lifestyle event and you're planning on coming in, Thursday, maybe come a day early to go to Motorlux, because it's a pretty fun event. Some people, it's their favorite for sure. Thursday, August 14th, you have Wednesday's the kickoff. Thursday, most people are already in town. So a lot of events start to get going. And between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there's a lot of heavy events that have been there for a long time that are stationary. They're not moving. So it's pretty hard to penetrate those markets. So Thursday is a day where there's a lot of smaller events that have began to take place and have become staples in Monterey's Car Week. One of those being the Ferrari's owner club, Concorso Carmel. There is the Legends of the Autobahn. That's a bunch of German cars, everything from BMWs to Mercedes to Porsches to Audis. All those that you can expect on the Autobahn, those will be at their show. Usually they're on a golf course. It's usually not a high ticket cost. I think usually you just pay for parking. So that's a fun event to go to on a budget. You have a bunch of different auctions, and then you have this one's for the ladies. I personally have never attended it. The Prancing Ponies Women's Car Show. You can definitely expect to see some Ferrari Californios, and a lot of cool cars that are women-owned, women enthusiasts. They come out to Car Week. They are enjoying. They're enjoying being a part of it, and they're empowering other women. And I love women, so that's a great show. I haven't been. Maybe one of these days I will go. Usually I'm pretty busy, but if you're a lady, go check out the Prancing Ponies Women's Car Show. On Thursday, one of the most important events that if you are at Car Week, I would recommend you not miss is the Pebble Beach Tour d'Elegance. Pebble Beach is what Car Week was built around, the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. And this event, the Tour d'Elegance, is something that all the owners that are participating in the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance are allowed to participate in. It is a police escorted tour from the lodge at Pebble Beach. They start up at the polo fields, right there in front of the Gooding and Company auction, and they drive 17 mile and they go all the way down to Big Sur, and then they turn around and they come back and park the cars and get them ready for the show. So if they participate on that, as far as their judging goes, they get more points scored because their cars are able to do it. And you'll see these 1920s cars breaking down and tow trucks coming to pick them up. And you'll see, Ferrari 250 GTOs and McLaren F1 GTRs and everything that you'd expect to see on the lawn at Pebble Beach, which is the best car show in the world, the most prestigious Concours d'Elegance in the world. You'll see a lot of those cars out driving up and down Highway 1, which is that stretch from Carmel to Big Sur is some of the most beautiful road in the world, period. And if there isn't any traffic, one of the best driving roads in the world, which, again, Car Week, don't do it. Don't even think about it. Last year, we ended up following with a big exotic rally, basically the tail end of that Tour d'Elegance. And all along the way, it was just photographers and people, standing out, even people that are residents in the area or, Car Week attendees, lined up and down the street, waving, honking, taking pictures and waving, Italian flags, Ferrari flags or whatever. And we're really excited to see. So that's pretty amazing experience to see all those cars. Again, it's an opportunity to see stuff that you won't see even at the racetrack because, it's too valuable or it's not a race car that raced in period. Out driving and again, with an opportunity to see it on some of those beautiful coastline in the world. So that is an event on Thursday. It's Thursday morning. Look at Pebble Beach's website or Google Monterey Car Week.
So, like, how do you get access to the roads and stuff? Like, do they shut the road down, or do you have to like side streets and maybe walk to an area, or like how do people like go and see the cars? Like, what kind of access is there?
So that one, you do want to find out, the schedule on the Tour d'Elegance, and you want to get along Highway 1 before they take off because they will be driving. It will be police escorted, so they'll shut down intersections and block, people off from going. But you can find breaks in the tour and, follow along. But I would definitely recommend getting a good spot, getting there early. They used to park all up and down Carmel by the Sea for like an hour and a half or two while they had breakfast in the park there. And they don't do that anymore. I don't know if they plan on doing it this year, but I think it was just too much of a cluster or something to, draw too many people, whatever. But yeah, that tour is something you definitely want to get an early start on that morning. Find somewhere along Highway 1 between Carmel and Big Sur and post up and just watch the beauty roll by.
How early are we talking?
I mean, I want to say it starts at like 9-ish. So I'm not saying, 5 a.m., but, I would be on the road by 7:38 at least.
I've seen some footage. It's like before sunrise, is it? With it's all foggy and stuff. Is that where they're driving on Pebble? Is that the same?
That's either at the start of this Tour d'Elegance where they all line up. I'm sure some people, want to get in the front of the line and be there early, probably so that they can get extra points or whatever in their own mind. But I think what you're seeing is, those really early morning shots are people driving onto the field on Sunday for the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. That is break of dawn. That is dawn patrol. So, yeah. Anyways, that's Thursday. That's, one of the most important events to hit on Thursday. Again, all the auctions are still going. There is Legends of the Autobahn. There's the Automobilia still going on. You've got Pebble Beach Classic Car Forum, Pebble Beach Retro Auto. And one thing to do between all of these events is, if you don't spend much time in Monterey or Carmel, go to some of the fine dining around there. There's a lot of cool stuff to do, to eat. When I was younger, before I was car spotting and really, deep into the car scene at Car Week, I'd go to the movies with my buddy. We'd catch a movie during Car Week. Looking back, I was like, what was I doing? I could have gone and seen all these cool cars and this cool archive of all these amazing photos of stuff that I wish I saw, back in the day that I heard about, maybe saw some cool Reventons when they were new or whatever. But no, I was at the movies. But there's plenty of stuff to do on the peninsula, plenty of great dining. And the whole idea is, yeah, the cars are important, but go have a good time. We all work hard. We deserve, a little bit of a break and to have fun between all of this. And that's the whole idea, of cars and the car world is the cars are one thing, but it brings the people together. So grab your friends, if you can't go have some fancy, steak dinner, go to In-N-Out. That's always popping during Car Week and hang out with some buddies. So
what about like just the surrounding streets? I know like on Instagram, there's always photos of like crazy cars just parked on the street, like at a restaurant or something. Like, is there kind of certain areas that you can kind of go and see these cars that aren't at a event?
I'm talking about a lot of events, some free, some expensive, but you can go anywhere between Monterey to Carmel, Pacific Grove, and spot some really cool cars between Laguna Seca and all throughout Carmel Valley. people are there, and they're there for, usually not just 1-2 nights. They're there for a handful of nights, and they're going out to dinner. They ship their cars from all over the country, sometimes all around the world, and they want to take them out. They want to drive them. They want to show their friends. They want to, they're having dinners with their salespeople at this Bugatti dealer, that Bugatti dealer. They're going to bring their Chiron out. And at the hotels as well. They're parked at the hotels. They're street parked. They're garage, parking garage parked. They're out on the roads. They're in traffic. Just driving around town, you'll see a lot of stuff. Some great places to spot. We can get to that question actually a little bit later, because I got asked that in the few questions that I was asked. There's plenty. Another thing we have to talk about is police. Police during Monterey Car Week, may God bless them. They have such a difficult they have such a difficult job, and I understand their goals, but there are a couple select officers that love the power that they have and do definitely display it in Carmel by the Sea on their electric motorcycles. Not to get any specific officer. I've had friends get arrested. I've had, plenty of people I know get tickets. Many that, have gotten pulled over, and multiple squad cars pull up and they have to deal with court, in the months to follow. Monterey Car Week has cracked down. Daily Driven Exotics, Edmund Mondi, they did a bunch of donuts in downtown Carmel a few years back, and I want to say that was like 2021, and that really made things difficult. After that, they put a lot of barriers up and down Carmel by the Sea at night, so people couldn't cruise it and drive up and down. They had to do this crazy zigzag, and there's cops everywhere, and there's speed traps. Every single police officer, even the guys that ride the desk that don't patrol, are all given unlimited overtime that week to go out and patrol. And so people that don't know how to perform DUIs and don't do traffic stops normally, don't read, Miranda rights on a, even weekly basis, are out there doing that and taking every opportunity they can and doing what they know is best. So that has been a real challenge in Car Week over the past few weeks, and it has been a deterrent for a lot of people as traffic increases. One thing I know about this year is that even the tunnels they've got cameras in them, speed cameras, and there's always cops waiting on either end of everything. Car Week is not the place to drive. Car Week is not the place to do burnouts, ever do a sideshow. I mean, those are never warranted around car events, but I wouldn't even do spirited pulls or anything like that if you can avoid it, because it's not worth it. It's not worth, getting your car impounded and put on a trailer and going to jail. I've waited outside the Salinas County Jail for a buddy. And this car right here, actually, allegedly for alleged things, allegedly. Anywho, it sucks. It sucks. It's a story for sure, but it's not where you want to be. You'd rather be at a party and enjoying Car Week. So that's one thing that we should definitely mention before we get into all things Car Week.
Drive responsibly.
Yes, drive responsibly. Drive like there's a cop watching you, because there are. There are drones up in the air. There are every kind of enforcement tactic possible. They will employ it during this week. Thursday is a day where, again, everybody comes in on Wednesday. Those that didn't come in on Wednesday are still showing up through the weekend. And it just keeps getting bigger and more mad, and the traffic gets heavier, and the cool cars you can see out on the road is more plentiful. It keeps growing and growing and growing until Saturday night, and Sunday is, the final day, and then it's time to chill. A lot of people will go home on Sunday afternoon. So anyways, Thursday is a big day. You can go to all of the auction houses. There's a couple different great car shows. There's the Werks reunion. So on the Thursday night of Car Week at the Preserve, which is a really fancy neighborhood, and the road in there is amazing. It seems like it could be a racetrack, although you shouldn't treat it like that because it is a fancy gated community with guards at the gate, etc. At the top, at their country club, the Luxury Rally Club, my buddy Trevor owns that, has an event called the Preserve Concours. This event is the most extravagant event I go to at Car Week. The ticket is pricey, but I guarantee you most of that goes towards the food and drink for this event. It is like unlimited caviar and oysters and champagne and just top shelf liquor and amazing food in an amazing setting at a nice evening event. You know, some of the sponsors from Car Week are also there, like from Quail and other events are at this event, and they unveil cars, and there's stuff that you can't see at any other events that are at this event. So I've been going the past couple of years and been helping with it. Thankfully, I'm involved again this year, and it is a wonderful, wonderful place to be. It is a beautiful setting. It is the most extravagant event that I go to during Car Week, period. It is pinnacle of luxury and amazing cars and stuff, again, that you don't see at any other event will be there. So if you've never been, I would definitely go. If you've been, you already know, and you're probably already going back. So this is one that isn't like highly advertised. You're not going to find it on See Monterey, What's Up Monterey. You know, everybody that is in that neighborhood is able to go, and then people that know about it through people like me and the Luxury Rally Club and the partners of those events are invited. So it's pretty much invite only. You do need like a link to get it. But if you reach out to the Luxury Rally Club or you reach out to me, I can probably help you get into that. There is a limited amount of tickets, but that's an awesome event. So that's what closes out Thursday night and is the pre-Quail party, basically. Anywho, that brings us to Friday, period, which again, all the auctions are still going on. You have one of the biggest events of Car Week, the Quail. The Quail is a special one. This has become the can't miss for manufacturers. And it is where all the supercars and hypercars seem to be unveiled for the year. The Quail event at the Quail Lodge in Carmel Valley is one of the most extravagant car shows there are in the world. The retail ticket price this year was $1,600, and that gets you into the event from 10 to 4, I believe, or 5. I think it's 10 to 4. And, it covers all the food, all the drinks you can, if you can, eat and drink $1,600 worth. But really what it is access to, like the CEOs of all these companies. They're out there, everything from Hennessy and Zinger to Bugatti. And they're all there. They're all shaking hands. They're all having a good time. They're all showing their stuff. They're showing their products. You have all the largest collectors in the world. You have everybody at this event. I know that some of the wealthiest people that come to Car Week, they'll come to this one event and leave. They feel like sometimes they feel like they need to be there to show face. Yeah, exactly. There is a helicopter ticket or something like that. It's, I don't know, it's a $10,000 package or whatever, $15,000 ticket, and it'll fly you from the airport to the Quail, and you can get off there. So you skip all the traffic, don't have to park, maybe get dropped off by your jet, and then just shuttled into the Quail event. I don't know how many of those tickets they sell, but I'm sure they sell them because you see the helicopter. But if you've never been and you can afford it, or you provide media value in some way,
to potentially get a media credential into this event. That is one of the most coveted media credentials in all of Car Week and most of car events, besides maybe an F1 race. It's one to go to for sure. I try to make it every year. I have, various ways of going, and I help, people that have a bunch of Quail tickets sell their events. I've already sold 30 Quail tickets this year for friends. A lot of Quail ticket exchanges happen in my group chats with the, probably 800 people that are going to Car Week this year. There's going to be a handful of them that, aren't going to be able to go, or, bought, extra tickets and their friends aren't coming through and they want to sell them. So anyways, there's ways to go and try to, if you can, but that's in some cases more than people pay for their rent. So it's understandable if they can't. But it is something to aspire to. And again, like I said, I've already sold a bunch of Quail tickets. I have got one guy that bought eight, for him and his friends and family. So again, there's levels to all this stuff. And some people pull up in their Hondas and other people pull up in their Hypercars. So anyways, the Quail on Friday, extravagant event. Some of the car companies that are there, pay on the low end maybe a couple $100,000 up to $1 million plus. So I think, and I don't want to name specific companies, but some of the bigger activations there are 7 figures, and some of the smaller ones are still 6 figures. It's an event that your local PPF shop can't afford in their marketing budget to go to. But your hypercar manufacturers, they can't afford not to go.
From the previous years, what kind of food do they have?
Like Motorlux or the Quail. Motorlux is more, smaller bites. Quail is like full-on meals. They have, in the past, they've had different areas, and it's like different types of food from around the world. So you can go to, there's an Italian one, or, a Portuguese food, or Spanish food, or, whatever, from different places around the world, Asia. So depending on where you're at, in the event walking around, you can go and taste different parts of the world. So, in the alcohol, I'm sure, most of the alcohol there is sponsored, but they have plenty as soon as you walk in the event, and then anytime you need it. So you can get a buzz going all day. That's the Quail event. It's something to aspire to. It's something to go to if you can, and a very special event for sure. Friday, they also have Werks reunion. That is primarily a Porsche event. So if you are a Porsche nerd and you are not going to the Quail because you can't afford a $1,600 ticket, or $3,200 if it's you and your lady, or $4,000 if you're buying at resale price, the Werks reunion is a great other option. And it is also a good option to go to the Rolex Motorsports Monterey reunion at Laguna Seca. That ticket that day is probably going to be around $100, and you'll be able to see all those cars out racing on track. So a really good time. And a good day to go to check out all that stuff. If you're also just coming in on Friday, all the auctions previews are open in the day. Some of the auctions start running Friday night. Some of them run Thursday night. One of them, the Motolux one, that one goes Wednesday, Thursday night. So check out all the auctions, check out the different schedules. There's plenty of stuff to do. All these events start overlapping come Thursday, Friday for sure. There's a bunch of overlapping events. Another thing, if you don't want to go to the Quail, but you maybe want to see the cars drive out, go hang out around the Quail Friday afternoon, and you'll see a lot of cool stuff. Or even Friday morning, you'll see, cool VIPs driving in. So a lot of good car spotting to do around there. Traffic is crazy though, so maybe come mid-event and watch it at the end of the event, so that you're not stuck in that traffic and you're not creating more traffic for people that want to go. Saturday is another big day, and you can definitely go to the track. You can definitely check out some of these auctions. Some of the auctions are over. The Concorso Italiano, they have new owners that are really trying to, crank this event around. It's been an event that's been, I would say, on the decline for the past 7-8 years. I mean, cars used to be unveiled there at Concorso Italiano. It was really special, but I would just say, an old mentality and unwillingness to adapt have pulled it down. It was one of my favorite events, and in past years, it's something that was like, okay, well, I can miss that. But they have a new owner, and it looks like they are really trying to bring in a whole bunch of different things and people and get active, and I love to see that in the car world. I love when there's fresh breath and people invest in these events and want them to do well and get really active and work on getting everybody there. So Concorso might be something to go check out this year. It's the 40th anniversary of this event. And I don't know necessarily everything that they have going on, but it sounds like they are trying their best to get everything that they can to the event. Mecum Auctions, that's a big auction with a wider breadth of cars. It's a lower price point than RM Sotheby's or Gooding or Bonhams, but still a lot of really cool stuff that go through there. And always some, special hypercars, halo cars that they have go through auction there. This event, Concours de Le Mans, is actually a friend of mine that's local to me, and he puts on the Concours de Le Mans. And what it is exactly what it sounds like. A bunch of lemons, cars that aren't that cool and aren't that, valuable and maybe kind of funny and stupid. And you look at it and say, what the hell is that thing? That's what that car is made up of. And, it's kind of like a joke, 2-car week is like, oh, you want to be fancy? Well, we're going to be the opposite over here and still have a really good time. We're not going to drink champagne. We're going to drink beer, and we're not going to wear suits. We're going to wear, the shirts with the suit printed on them. So that's the idea there. They obviously have the Lemons Racing Series, which is, for a lot of people, really entry level racing where you get a Crown Victoria and you do a endurance style racing event in it. So, anywho, that's a really cool event to go check out. It is something that a lot of people find as a lot of fun. I don't normally have time to go hit it, but you may as well if you do. So, and then it brings us to, the Rolex Monterey Motorsports Reunion's going on. They have the Pebble Beach Retro Auto, the Pebble Beach Classic Car Forum, where they have, a lot of different talks. Speakers come. One year I watched Jerry Seinfeld, talk in that, and you're 10 feet away from Jerry as he's having a conversation with somebody, and so that was pretty cool. I don't know who they're going to have this year. I'm sure those announcements are coming if they haven't already. Saturday night, this is an event this is its 3rd year, the Monterey Motorsports Festival. They have grown tremendously every year. And I'm behind the scenes of this event since year 1. So the past couple of years I've done stuff, and this year I'm doing stuff with them as well. It's an awesome event. We just announced that Mad Mike is coming with his P1 GTR drift car with rotary powered, flame spitting, Red Bull sponsored car and Formula Drift driver. Will be there at the event, along with a lot of cool other stuff that isn't announced yet that I wish I could tell you.
Is he doing any burnouts or anything?
Potentially. The hardest part about that car is that it's, for smaller venues, if you're not at a full-on racetrack, like if you're trying to do it in a parking lot, the first gear runs from 0 to over 100 miles an hour. And so you really have to get it going. And if there's not a lot of room to do that, it's obviously a major safety hazard. So really that car's only ran on racetracks, and that's kind of what it was designed for. And so the only time it's ever ran here in the States was at the Las Vegas F1 Grand Prix. And that's an F1 track that has plenty of space to do stuff like that at. And anytime you see it running and drifting, it is at a major racetrack, and they're, doing 80 miles an hour around a turn. smoking the tires. So we're working on it. It would require some paving. It's difficult, but no matter what, you can see it, you hear it, feel it, and they're also working on a headline DJ. I know who we're working on, but I'm not going to say anything until it's finalized. But that event basically is like the closeout for Car Week. That's the idea behind it and what it's kind of turned into. You come all week long, you go to all the events, you do all the car spotting, you go eat everywhere else. And then it's like come Saturday night, every restaurant has like an hour and a half wait. There's no parking to be found. You're exhausted from running around all week. You have been on your feet. You have been doing all this stuff. You've seen all the cool cars. Now you just want to party. So a lot of the manufacturers, a lot of the companies, they have parties on Friday night, Saturday night, dinners and all that type of stuff. And some even, Sunday after Pebble, etc. But this is an event that you go to. I think it starts at about 5 p.m. and is ending at 11 this year. But I run a supercar drive-in that's police escorted. If you have a supercar, hit me up. I'll get you in on it. And a bunch of hypercars come as well. And we all drive into this event and parade through the event. Walls of people both sides. Rev, get everybody pumped up. Park, music, food, plenty of food vendors, plenty of alcohol, plenty of anything you want. Plenty of cool cars. Like last year, every Pininfarina Battista came through that event. KTMs, my friends brought their Paganis, Bugattis, all that stuff. Again, we're still a month and a half out, and so I can't say all the stuff that I'm working on, but there's some really cool stuff that could potentially break like the car internet. So if you have an opportunity, events are really cheap. I mean, tickets are really cheap. They're like, especially to see a headline DJ and have access to all these cool cars and stuff and see all this stuff. It's like, I think like $130, $140, $150, somewhere around there. And it's cheaper as if you buy it now, and gets more expensive, as it gets to the event. But that's one you're not going to want to miss. Saturday night, there's not really anything else going on. Saturday, you also have exotics on Broadway during the day. That's an event that they used to have exotics on Cannery Row. For everybody, that was the peak of the event. Because you're right there in downtown Monterey on the ocean with, the aquarium at one end, and it's just beautiful sounds, beautiful weather, beautiful everything, and a massive car event. They moved to Broadway after, again, YouTubers are doing donuts and burnouts. I was there I did a live video on it. It was pretty crazy. I think I sent it to you last time we did this video, but they shut it down on Cannery Row. They said, this is too crazy for us. We don't want it anymore. They moved to Broadway. They've had some success at Broadway. It's a really long event to be at for a car owner. They drop the car off and sit there in Seaside for like 8 hours. So they tried to change it up this year, and it's been a free event in the past. Now they're charging admission to everything that's not supercars and, any of the hypercars or any of the cool cars, which really that's what the people come to see. Pagani and Koenigsegg have, been supporters in the past, and they have come and they have brought cars and tried to get all their owners there because it has been an event for the people. Now they are charging for it, and they have dropped vehicle registration prices. So they are trying to do some balancing things so that they can grow this event. We'll see how this year turns out. I know some people that have gone in the past that are turned off from going to this event, and I have other friends that are committed to it and are bringing multiple cars. So it's an event that we'll see how this year goes. I've always gone every year just to check it out and do at least a quick walk up and down. And I think the general admission ticket's $30. So $30 is really cheap if you want to get close. And in the past, they've had really big crowds where you cannot get a clear picture of a car. So I think part of their hopes in doing this is to give people more of an opportunity to see those cars. But it is unfortunate for, everybody that has been going to that. I mean, I knew a lot of people that come from far and wide to come to this event. And it's like, again, like I said, you can do it maybe for a tank of gas. They would just try to come to Car Week on a tank of gas and not spend any money and pack a lunch for the day and come to Exotics on Broadway. So we'll see how that goes this year. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of amazing cars come. I saw a post that they said the F50 crew's coming back. So they're going to have some Ferrari F50s, which is awesome because this is an anniversary year for them, 30th anniversary of the F50. And I'm sure they're going to have some cool Conceits, Paganis, Bugattis, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see how that goes for them. Then that brings us to, again, Saturday night, Monterey Motorsports Festival. That's the place to be. And then there's always some parties Saturday night as well. So if you're cool, you can maybe get some invites to those, or if you got some friends that are going to them, say, hey, think about me, or ask, hey, what are you doing tonight? Everybody that you meet, and you never know, you might get an invite to something cool. Some of these manufacturers have really fancy dinners. You can buy packages too. Other ones, it's more of an invite only. Some are just really public open houses, parties. So follow the social media of a lot of these companies that go to Car Week, and you might find something to do on one of those nights. Sunday is the Pebble Beach Concours Elegance. Again, that's what Car Week was based upon. That is, regarded by most as the number one Concours Elegance in the world. There's nothing like it. You're on the 18th hole of one of the most prestigious golf courses in the world, the Pebble Beach Golf Links, and it is lined with sometimes cars that people don't know exist and people haven't seen in decades, and they're all there. They're the one show that it's like people beg, and on the political side of things, make large donations to be a part of, and it's a and sometimes the car alone gets you in because of how special it is, and history is shown there every year. And this year, I think, is the 75th anniversary of Formula One, and they're going to have a large display. I am sure they're going to have Schumacher, Senna, everything. If you're a Formula One fan, this is the year now that Netflix has been going on for a few years with this Drive to Survive, and the F1 movie just came out, and, talks of bringing naturally aspirated V10s back, etc. Formula One is popping right now. So
I'm sure Brad Pitt will be there.
Will Brad Pitt be at Concours Elegance? I wouldn't be surprised. I have seen, some really amazing people. Obviously, Jay Leno, Jerry Seinfeld, they're mega car people. They're there. But I've even seen Arnold Schwarzenegger there when he was our governor. I've seen many people. And I'm not, a socialite who's who, know everybody, all the actors, actresses, pop stars, whatever. But if they're going to go, they're going to come to this event. And I know that, the big companies are inviting them and bringing them out to this. And so there's a lot of special people that are there. Again, the real collectors, the real rich people, they go to this event because it is the best. It is the best Concours Elegance in the world. Like the Quail, some people argue, the Quail's the best event at Car Week. It totally is. They both have their own place. And that's why I don't go to just one day at Car Week. I go to all the events. They all have their own place. Quail is not a Concours Elegance. They have a Concours aspect to their new car show that they host. But primarily, it's companies showing what the latest and greatest that they have is there. That's what draws the people into Quail. Pebble Beach these are the best examples of the best cars in the world. And we are telling you a story through our curated displays. And we are preserving and giving reason for everybody to preserve this history. All those cars that are at Pebble will long outlive you and I, Rory, and our children's children will be the stewards of those cars. If a car is at Pebble, unless it catches fire or something horrible, God forbid, those cars will be preserved forever. If it's on the Pebble Beach lawn, it's a forever car. And that's something that, there's a lot of at Car Week, is like you are witnessing history. You are seeing future artifacts that the world has never known. And that, at the point in time that they were made, they were the most technologically advanced cars. And there was, components on them that pushed the car industry forward. So that's what happens at Pebble Beach. If you have never been, you've got to go. Tickets now are upwards of $600. The day of, I know it's usually like $50 to $100 cheaper if you buy online. You get a program with it. It's a full day event. I'd say go early. Do dawn patrol if you can, which is be there before sunrise. You get to see all the cars driving into the lawn. It's a lot less crowded, and then you can get out of there before the crowds ensue. And the crowds there is for sure. Usually, the past couple of years, I haven't been able to do dawn patrol because I'm usually so exhausted. And then by the time I get to Pebble Beach, I'm a zombie. And some of my friends that have walked through Pebble with me the past couple of years, Dylan being one of them from DuPont Registry, we're just dead. We're just dead. We can't do it. We're just like asking each other for piggyback rides and just trying to take pictures so that we can enjoy it at a later date because we are clapped. I mean, I go early morning, I'm up early, getting ready, going out, getting fueled up for the day and hit the road hard. And I'm usually car spotting out, well past midnight or partying and then car spotting or then having to go, save somebody from jail or go pick somebody up that's drunk and can't drive and they don't know where to send them or whatever. I always get all the calls. That's one downside of being the center of the group chats and connecting everybody is like, well, then everybody's calling you all car week long and I get hundreds of calls a day. Anyways, but it's all fun and I love it. And I love doing what I can for enthusiasts like me because I know when I was going to Car Week and when I go to new car events around the world, I don't know what I'm doing. And I thankfully now I'm at a place where I can go to most major car events around the world and have friends there or friends to go with that we can link up and, maybe they can give me a tour or I can give them a tour. But not everybody has that. And that's the whole point of this video is it is a public service. And I think that the opportunities that can come from getting an edge up on Car Week and knowing some of the things to go to and to not go to will help people, A, maximize, their dollar will go further, but B, maximize the opportunities and what they can see and what they can learn and the experience of it. So, this was a general overview, but there's a lot more stuff that you can learn from getting in a group chat and asking questions and, people saying, hey, this car's over here right now, street parked, come check it out. Or, hey, this thing's over here. So there's a lot of cool things that can come from it.
Yeah, I think if people follow you on Instagram, they can have a chance of joining the group chats and then they can get real-time updates as the week's happening.
Earlier today, a few hours before this, I posed a question. I told everybody that I was going to be doing another Car Week video podcast with you, Rory. Any questions? What do you want to know about Monterey Car Week? And I got some questions. So we can go through a couple of those right now. Lorenzo, where can a bro get absolutely housed, effed up with his boys? There is a couple places in Carmel. One is Barbell, where they're open a little late on Car Week, and you can go and have some beers and have some brews and party. Like I said, there's plenty of parties. There's plenty of events that have open bars. Make sure that you're using rideshare or somebody gives you a ride. There's obviously some inappropriate ones in here. That was the one that I could kind of slide by, but I can't go over these. Drives. GT3 Nelson drives. Like I said, A lot of police in Monterey during car week. I would avoid it. But there's a lot of amazing roads. Highway 1, for an example, between Carmel and Big Sur is a beautiful, beautiful drive. Maybe there's some corners you can get a little bit more spirited on and really just feel the road. Be careful. There are people out, doing photo shoots everywhere on roads. So, and then the road between the track and Carmel Valley, the pass there is pretty fantastic. But yeah, I would be cautious on drives around car week. Car week on a budget. That's a question that is interesting, and I think I've said it before. How can you do car week on the biggest budget? Like I said, a tank of gas. One year I went, and this was actually the COVID car week, and I didn't book a room because all the events were canceled. This was 2020. It was August of 2020, so the world shut down at the end of March in 2020. So we'd had it shut down for about 5 months. People were still, crazy panic, but a lot of people had relaxed and kind of realized, okay, whatever. But there was no way massive events were going on, and people weren't able to travel here from all over the world, Europe and Asia, etc. So a lot of travel restrictions. So I didn't book a room. I drove down. I slept in my truck on the side of Highway 1, and we just drove around and did some photo shoots, and that was plenty of fun. Car week on a budget, just come down. If you have the ability to drive in for a day, great. If you want to, go 2 days, there might be a campground an hour up or down, the road outside of town where you can maybe pitch a tent or whatever, or stay, out in Salinas or San Jose and drive in, and calculate the gas and hotel costs, etc., or split a room with somebody. And, really just driving around town, you have the option to see a lot of amazing cars, a lot of amazing things. Some more questions on there that tie into this question is like, where are some good places to spot cool cars? 17-mile drive is amazing. Everybody wants to go there to photo shoot their amazing cars. You can see everything from prototypes that have yet to even be launched that are getting their photo shoots there early morning because later in the evening, the roads are really crowded. All day long, you can stay on 17-mile drive and see nothing but banger after banger after banger. And all these car groups will pull in from, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to the 17-mile and take pictures, or Saturday. That's one great place. Carmel by the Sea is another fantastic place to check out cars. Downtown Carmel, or downtown Monterey. So in front of the Portola Hotel where Armed Sotheby's is held, all those streets up and down there in downtown Monterey are a fantastic place to check cars out. There's usually some cool car street park. And then any of the parking garages that you have the opportunity to walk in, some are guarded and, you got to respect them, but some of them you can, find ways into. There's plenty of cool cars around. So I can't give all my secrets, but those are a couple great places to go check stuff out. Let's see here. Another question. Some of these people don't ask questions. Where's the best place? I don't know what that means. Best place to do what? How to prepare for Monterey Car Week. Make a schedule. That's what I would say. Number one, how to prepare for Monterey Car Week would be making a schedule, planning what you're going to do. If you're dead set on events, buy the tickets online. You usually can save a little bit of money there. Plan your days out. Plan them out. Know where to go and leave some room for traffic between them. Try to maximize your time. Prepare for Monterey Car Week. Bring some comfortable clothes. If you're planning on going to the track or any of these golf course events, bring some sunscreen. If you get fried because You will, being in the sun all week long at car events. This is a really important one. Bring a battery pack for your phone every day. Whether if you're filming content or whatever, your phone's going to run out of battery. I got the 16 Pro Max. I run out of battery right now, even midday, normal day. I got a battery pack on it because at any time, you never know when there's something really cool that's going to pop up. Get a good playlist going. Make sure you got some good tunes because you're going to spend a lot of time in the car going from place to place. Make sure your car is, in full working order, and that you have, all of your insurance and registration in line. Because if you don't, you might be getting a ticket because they will be in full enforcement. So those are a few things to be prepared for Monterey Car Week. Oh, and to let your family know to chill, that you're all right. You're just too busy chasing cars. Places to stay, grub, must attend events or locations. Places to stay, that's a tough one. I have stayed all over the peninsula. In the past 16 years going to Car Week, some years I go to multiple places. The past few years I've been going to the same place where they have 4 beds to a room, and I usually invite a couple friends and we all split the room cost. That way my mom's in there and I'll get a bed. Anyways, don't need to get into those details, but wherever you can, really. I looked today because my grandparents were interested in coming to Car Week, and rooms are really expensive right now. So if you can find something, great. If you can't, sorry. There might be some Airbnbs available. You might have to stay out of town. If you have any friends going, ask them what their situation is. If they want to split a room, whatever the deal is there. Places to stay, that's a tough one. Places to eat, there are a ton of restaurants in Carmel by the Sea. And the Metra Cafe, I got to shout them out because they are the homies, and you will have a hell of an experience going in there and dining with them with live music and dancing and great food. The Metra Cafe is one place I will actually shout out. But there's a lot of great Italian joints all up and down, everything you can imagine. Carmel by the Sea does not allow chain restaurants in their town. So everything there is, small business. Some of those small business owns like 4 or 5 restaurants in a row, but they're all their own thing. And then, in Monterey, there's plenty of stuff downtown Monterey as well. By the Portola, there's just a lot of places to eat. I already mentioned In-N-Out earlier, but In-N-Out past like 10, 11 p.m., because everybody's running around all day, is cracking. You can always see some supercars there. I pulled up there last year, and I don't know what, probably something cool because I remember people losing their mind about it. But In-N-Out's always popping late night too. Must attend events or locations. Again, that's so dependent on budget. But one location you must drive by is the 17-mile drive. It's just beautiful. You got to do it. You got to pay, a fee to get into the 17-mile drive. Usually there's not many tourists during Car Week because the fact that it's Car Week and your normal $300 room because $1,300. So tourists are deterred from staying there. But for some reason, sometimes you actually do find some tourists there, which is kind of funny because they just don't know what's going on with all the cars around them. But 17-mile drive is a place to definitely drive by. Carmel by the Sea, definitely go check that out because there's a lot of great spotting there, and it's just a packed, awesome vibe. Let's see here. And Cannery Row, too. Best place to set a foldable chair down and just soak in the car/atmosphere. Oh, that's Ocean Avenue. I would say Ocean Avenue for sure. Or even 17-mile drive, maybe one on both each day. And the closer to, I would say, Saturday you can get, closer to Friday, Saturday you can get, the better it's going to be. But if you're on Ocean Avenue, every car that goes to Car Week is probably going to go up and down Ocean Avenue once. So that might be a good place. And I've actually got a friend, Ethan, that comes in from Atlanta. And he's a great photographer and runs a big page that you guys may know that I'm not going to mention because it's hated. But they'll hold up signs, and they'll give ratings to all the cars that drive by. 10 points on a scale of 10 or whatever, and that's a great place to car spot. So that was a good question. Let's see here. How epic is it going to be? Very epic. From what my understanding is, from the actual numbers, from the police and all that, it just keeps getting bigger every year. No matter what people say, some people say, oh, this is, less and this is this and whatever. I mean, if you're basing it on one single event's, attendance, that's not a good way to judge Car Week, because there's so many outside factors and different events that come in, and people that just say, okay, I'm not going to go to the event, I'm just going to enjoy the week, or people that just drive in for the day. But the actual literal traffic numbers, it keeps growing tremendously every year. So this year is going to be epic. So many more new people are coming. I've already seen it and talked to them that this is their first week that they're going. So many returning. We're out of the COVID times and the travel and all that. People are full out. The economy's always been questionable since COVID. It's been kind of crazy. Big booms and busts and all that. But car companies are out there. Cars, new models are coming out. We had a long freeze for a few years where models weren't coming out. They're all out. Entrepreneurship boomed during COVID because people said, okay, I'm not going to work for this corporation or this company or whatever. I'm going to do my own thing now that I have this extra time. I'm not commuting. I'm working from home. I can focus on my own things. So there's a lot of, new companies that are out and yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be an epic car week. Where are the women at? Well, if you're going to Car Week for women, it's primarily men that are there. So I would say pick another place. Anywhere else, it would probably be better. I think there are a lot of beautiful women, and there are a lot of ladies there that are looking for men, but maybe men with deep pockets. I don't know. I just don't think that it's the best place to go looking for women at a car event. You're going to find a lot of men. Let's see here. Best spots, like highways or places to stand on the side of the road to car spot. Like I said, the Pebble Beach Tour d'Elegance is probably the number one place to pop a seat, wait, and watch cars drive by. That's just like, I drove it last year, and while we were going down, everybody was coming back the other way, and that was like, wow. I haven't had a car moment like that where I got the chills and was just so excited in such a long time. My passenger was not okay with speed, and I was in a supercharged Huracan Performante. So that made that part a little bit difficult and challenging. It took away some of the awe and shock moment because I had to focus on that. But outside of that, it was pretty damn hard to come close to Highway 1 during the Tour d'Elegance. I mean, wow, what a dream. That is a bucket list item for me, is to have a car at Pebble and to do the Tour d'Elegance. Because, boy, how amazing would that be? Hopefully, whatever car I have runs the whole way. So I think that's pretty good. A lot of these questions are duplicates of that. And again, I only asked it a few hours ago. So, yeah, I think that covers Car Week. What other questions?
I think that's a good coverage of the events and what to do there, and basically what everyone wants to know is like, where do we see the cars? Where do we go? What do we do? And I think it's a good overview. There's not much else we can say other than join the group chats and get live updates as things happen, because, things change, things pop up. Who knows where everyone's going to be at a certain time. And that's the tricky thing is, there's not enough time to see everything. So you have to kind of plan it out and kind of have an idea of where to go, because time flies, Like you said, it's a month and a half away. I kept thinking it's going to be, 6 months away. And then I'm like, wait a minute, it's like right around the corner.
So, I mean, even last year, I was excited to see you on Sunday. I think I was with, my buddies Jean Paulo and Dylan, and you caught us, caught us at the Casa Ferrari in front of the Pebble Beach Lodge there, and we did a little video excerpt. But my favorite thing about Car Week is the people you run into. As every year goes by, it becomes a little less about the cars for me. Cars are always a focus. I love them. I love the chase, all that stuff. But it just becomes about the experience. I get to meet all of my friends from all over the country and all around the world. They all come out. We all hang out, and I get to just see them in passing. You see them on the other side of the road. So, if you haven't been to Car Week, start coming. Go every year, because every year it just gets better, in so many ways. And if you've gone to Car Week and you're thinking, I don't know if I should go back this year, just do it. Just do it. You're going to have fun, and we're going to see each other. We're going to fist bump. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. My mind is really getting geared towards it now, and I'm ready to go.